Alright, question number 7 can be a little bit complicated, so see if you can stay with me. Alright, so we've got two gliders, basically, or two masses on a table. Let me draw that table a little better. There we go. So we've got a table, we've got a pulley, right, and we've got one glider here, hangs over the pulley, and then we've got a mass here. Now we don't know what this mass is. We know this one weighs 100 grams or 0.1 kilograms. Okay, we're trying to figure out the mass of this guy. First thing we have to do is draw the free body diagrams in the directions of motion that they're going, okay? So, here, we've got the tension in the string should be pulling this guy this way, right? And so, that should be all well and good. We also know that the acceleration is equal to, 2 meters per second squared. So that's another piece of information that we have. Okay, so we know that the tension is the only thing acting there. On this one, we should know that the tension is acting up and the force of gravity is acting down. Okay. Now, we know that the tension is equal to mass times acceleration, because F net is equal to mass times acceleration. Well, in this case, tension should equal 0.1 times 2 meters per second squared. So the tension should equal 0.2 newtons. Okay? So that's the tension. That tension should be the same as this tension, which should also be 0.2 newtons. Now, the free body diagram on this guy should look like this. We have mass times acceleration. It should be noted that in this case the acceleration is in a downward direction because it's going to be falling down. So it's m times -2 equals the tension minus the force of gravity. Now we should all remember that force of gravity is mass times 10. So m times -2 equals 0.2 minus m times -10. Okay, or rather, since I've already given it a negative sign, it should be positive 10. Alright, let's pretend like that didn't happen. Let's just rewrite this. So, since I already gave it a negative sign here, it would just be mass times 10. Alright, now I'm solving for m. So I've only got one unknown variable, so I'm just going to subtract or add m over to the other side. So I get, let's see, I would get 0.2 equals, what would that be? Positive 8m, then divide by 0.2, so 0.2 divided by 8 is equal to 0.025 kilograms, and that would be the mass. Okay, the key thing to remember here is that you have to use your net forces, so your stuff from when we talked about free body diagrams and all that stuff. You have to use your net forces, and you have to know how they relate to each other. You also have to recognize that the tension here should be the same as the tension here. Alright, and that will allow you to solve this problem. Okay, number 8, the last question on the study session. Let's go ahead and get that one out of the way. A 50 gram marble, so a mass of 0.05 kilograms, rolls across the table and has a speed of 8 meters per second, and a frictional force of 0.1 newtons acting on it. What is the acceleration, and what is its speed after 2 seconds of motion? Well, first of all, we have to recognize that if it's rolling across this thing, there's only one force. If this is the marble and it's rolling across a table, the only force acting on it should be the force of friction pulling it back, which means the force of friction is equal to the net force on the object, which means it's equal to mass times acceleration. Now, if that's the case, then 0.1 equals 0.05 times A, and we're going to solve for A. So mass, got the 0.05 from here, that's the mass, and the 0.1 from here, that's the force of friction. So 0.1 divided by 0.05 equals 2 meters per second squared equals A, and that gives us, or that tells us what the first answer is. The acceleration is 2 meters per second squared. The second thing to recognize is that just because the velocity is 8 meters per second at one point doesn't mean that's a constant velocity. What that really means is that it's just the instantaneous velocity whenever this problem started was 8 meters per second. So it asks what's the speed after 2 seconds. Well, we have to go to this formula. A equals Vf minus Vi divided by T. It's accelerating at 2 meters per second squared. Do you think it's going to be a positive or a negative 2 meters per second squared? Well, it should be negative, right? Because this force is going to the left, which means it's negative, so that should have been negative, and that then should have been negative. So it should be negative 2 meters per second squared. It should be slowing it down. This shouldn't be very confusing. The force of friction should slow the object down. It would be very, very odd if the force of friction was speeding it up. So negative 2 meters per second squared equals Vf, which is unknown, minus 8 divided by 2. So we get negative 4 equals Vf minus 8, add 8 to the other side, and we get a final velocity is equal to 4 meters per second. Alright, and that is number 8. Alright, so the circular motion test should have about equal parts from the circular motion stuff, and then there's a couple questions on there that are blasts from the past, so be prepared for those too. I will put the formulas on the board, so don't worry about memorizing that stuff, okay? Alright guys, hope that helped. I will see y'all tomorrow.